So we are talking about reframing the way that you think about conflict, right? That's kind of what we're getting at. And one phrase that I love to say that I think helps people understand the benefit of engaging in conflict or embracing conflict, like your book says, is conflict is an opportunity to deepen connection.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Sounds great. I like it.
What do you think?
I think that's really good. I mean, I've never heard you say it. But yeah, matter of fact, I think we probably got that in the book. That's probably my thing that you took. Conflict is a way to deepen connection.
Because if you think about it, it's like, well, I'm sharing what bothered me.
Right.
Yes, I'm sharing
so
what bothered me.
That's exactly right.
You share what bothered you. And then we understand each other more. Whether it's like, I feel like I overreacted because, you know, like an example. Oh, an example that y'all talked about in your marriage. Okay, Mom, you felt like when y'all were first getting married and you had to go to Dad for money.
Yes.
And so the way that Mom came to you about that, I don't know if this is how it happened initially, but y'all got to this point where Mom said, the reason I don't like it is because it makes me feel the way that I felt with my dad, where I had to go, it makes me feel like a child. I had to go to my dad and ask him for money.
Yeah.
And so if you had not had that conflict, you would have probably never learned that about Mom.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yes.
Hey, listen when y'all talk.
You know, a funny story about conflict, because we talk so much about relationships and marriage, and we want to start doing more parenting stuff at some point. You know, an interesting story about you. Hey,
Okay,
you the one saying you want me to tell stories. You want me to be transparent. So, all
right, let's hear it.
Okay, so Elizabeth, as a child, didn't get into a lot of trouble. She was a child, and we do a whole show about spanking and corporal punishment. It's not your first go-to. You know, you don't do it in anger. There's a whole way to handle. Because some parents, I bring it up because some parents now are like, we don't use corporal punishment, and I think it's because it had there's such negative connotations around it because it wasn't done right. So but hey, we use corporal punishment. So.
I mean, you don't even know we're all adults now. But.
Yeah, and a lot of times I thought about using capital punishment, but that's a whole other story.
That's horrible.
But Elizabeth, who probably got less spankings than any of our 4 children.
I'd like to qualify that I am the youngest of 4.
You are the youngest of 4.
And I learned from other people's mistakes.
But here's what I would say about you. 2 things about how we would handle conflict. This is parent-child. So when Elizabeth would get in trouble, she would say, Daddy, and it was just so funny, Daddy, I don't want a spanking. I don't want a spanking, Daddy. And I would say, okay, Elizabeth, and like she is the youngest, so by then I was a much better dad, right? So I would ask her 3 questions. Hey, Liz, did Dad explain to you why this was wrong? Yes, Dad, you did, because if I didn't, that's on me. Did Dad explain to you, what was the first thing I said?
What was wrong?
Well, did Dad explain to you why this was wrong?
Yeah. I've forgotten the questions now. This is why I start telling
again,
stories.
We're all adults now.
So, did Dad
and I'm be honest, I probably forgot the questions because of the...
Did Dad explain why this was wrong? Did Dad explain the consequences?
Yeah, the consequences,
you did it. But it led to this. Because she was like, I don't want a spanking, Daddy. And then I would say to her, based on those questions, I thought there were 3, but I can only remember 2.
I feel like there were 3, and I only say that because you like 3s, so you probably had a 3rd question.
But let's get to the story.
So did you do what Dad? That was probably the second question. Did Dad explain Did Dad explain? Did Dad explain the rules? Did you explain the rules or something?
Did I explain the consequences?
Yeah.
But here's the end thing, and the point I want to get to about the importance of conflict when handled right. So then I would say to her, well, hey, Elizabeth, based on these answers, I've done my job. It's not like I'm spanking you. It's like you're spanking yourself.
I used to hate hearing that.
So really, there's nobody to blame but you. But that's not even the story I want to tell. Here's the story I want to tell. After Elizabeth got a spanking, as far as I know, it wasn't many, but every spanking in her entire life, after she got the spanking, you know what she would do? She would come hug me.
What?
You would. You would come hug me.
I need to unpack this. I feel like as my younger self has betrayed me.
And here's what I think was going on. I thought about this a lot over the years because you did it all the time. Here's what I think was going on. Hey, Dad, I see you're disappointed in me. Now, you didn't say any of this, right? But I see you're disappointed in me. I see I've let you down. But we're still good, right?
Oh yeah,
Well,
that does
I-
sound like me.
That's
gonna
what
say-
I think was going on, because it would be like she just got a spanking,
Yeah.
and she would hug me and kiss me, and I think she was. So,
you know what?
so conflict, if properly handled, because I wasn't mad and yelling and screaming and hitting her with anything. That's a whole nother story about how to properly discipline a child when it comes to that, which is not your first thing to go to, but. To me, that summarizes or cements the whole idea that as a child in a very uncomfortable situation, nobody likes to get punished, right? But the way the conversation went, making the point about conflict can lead to deeper connection. That's probably where you learned that. And that I probably gave you
So
that
all of this was so you could take credit for my statement. It's not a competition.
It's not a competition.
Well, everything is a competition.
I don't know if this is the case with me, but I'm just going to throw this in here because I like to consider multiple perspectives.
Okay.
Some people might consider that to be Stockholm Syndrome.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, no.
I see what you're trying to do.
I just throw
I
it
see
in
what
there.
you're trying to do.
I don't think that was the case.
No, I don't
probably
think-
would.
I don't
I
think
did
that
want
was
to
the
reconcile things, and you might have felt it was like, "Are we good?" But in my people pleasing nature, it was probably me being like, "I want him to know that we are good. I don't want him to."
Well, and the other thing is like, I mean, based on the whole conversation, hey, the reason you're getting in trouble is because of you. I didn't like walk in the house and like put you in trouble. Did I explain why this was wrong?
I might also offer the reason I got in trouble a lot of times was because of my other siblings.
Well, that's not taking any ownership.
So you're taking.
I made the choices, but their influence. I was an impressionable young girl.
Okay, so what was the last one that we covered?
The victim was the last one, which is what I was playing in that very moment. Okay. So we've talked about the different kinds of masks that people wear. You've heard some really great examples to my detriment, but that's okay. And now we're gonna talk about how to start unmasking. How do you take those masks off? Are we gonna talk about how you identify when people are wearing masks?
Well, you want to identify which one of those
You're wearing.
You're wearing.
Okay.
Yes, and then from there we're going to begin to look at the real person to
like how you can portray, how you can show up as your authentic self.
Yes, how to do that. So, in a safe and in a safe way.
Does that mean, because this is something I hear with dating these days about how people pretend, and I do hear this complaint more from women, but that might also be because I'm a woman and that's what I typically see a lot online, is that a lot of times they feel like whoever they're dating is very good at pretending to be something that they're not. So are you saying that it can be difficult to identify when someone else is pretending? So that's why we're focusing on
yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But you just made a comment. You said a lot of people when they're dating, they say to themselves and their friends, I feel like she is pretending.
That's not what I said.
Well, okay, okay. What
I
did you
think
say?
the way that they share it is that in retrospect, it's like I thought this person.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought this person was
'cause I
somebody
was about
that
to
they
say.
clearly weren't because they did this bait and switch. The switch up.
Okay. Now I understand what you're saying because I was like, why would you keep going forward? You feel like the person was pretending, but you mean with the benefit of hindsight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So okay,
and there are no ways that we can help people see that.
I think the only thing is what we said in the previous episode: discernment, time, seeing people in different situations. There's no shortcut to finding the right partner. And we live in a world where instant gratification is a thing. Like we get that from social media. We get that from so many sources now where we expect that. But I've come to learn just as I've gotten older, there's no shortcut to finding the right partner. There's no quick and fast way to do it.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Do you think women are more impressionable than men when it comes to dating?